All right, so this is Caddy Ted Scott. I believe this is him on the left. I'm not an avid golf fan, but you see, this is Scottie Scheffler on the right, Caddy on the left, Ted Scott. He leaves for a family emergency. This tour. What's this tour called? It's the final round of the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Ted Scott had to leave due to a family emergency at home in Louisiana. And a character named Brad Payne had to step in, who I guess is a close friend of Scottie Scheffler's. And do y'all know what a caddie is? What is a caddie? Like this, you see? Look. A person who carries a golfer's clubs and provides other assistance during a match. I wonder how much they get paid. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Caddie, caddie.
Okay, a caddy, and apparently this is the FedEx St. Jude Championship. Again, I'm not familiar with golf at all. It looks like he's tied for third, and this guy Justin Rose appears to be in first place. But I'm not here to break down the tournament or anything like that. I'm here to show you how this connects with other stories on the world stage. They don't really give any details of the emergency. They just say he had to head home. And let's see if I could pull up the Brad Payne guy who had to step in. All right, so right here, you know what's interesting about this? Okay, so this appears to be dude right here. What's interesting about this is Brad is kind of like Brady, and I'm catching that on the fly right now, which is relevant because Tom Brady just had a statue unveil at Gillette Stadium. So now this guy's name is Brad. One more letter Y would make it Brady. Even the football player, if you look at my last breakdown, the Lions Falcons game, the football player who had a head injury, Maurice Norris, they took him to Grady Hospital. Grady like Brady. Now you have Brad Payne, Brad like Brady. So this guy steps in, I guess, as a caddy. They in our article, this is the Associated Press. They don't give us a lot of information here. They just say it's not the first time Brad Payne had to step in, which reminds me, if I pull up one of the last breakdowns I did on Scottie Scheffler, you'll see it right here. It's amazing how it connects to this story, okay? Oh, okay, so here it is right here. You see that? Look, this is the last breakdown I did. And watch how it's relevant. Scottie Scheffler arrested outside PGA Championship, then returns and climbs leaderboard. Right? And you get, here's our current story. Scheffler turns to fill in when caddy Ted Scott leaves for family emergency. But I'm going to pull up that other breakdown and watch how we get some similar numbers which are hitting currently with the decodes. But I'm going to play this video for now. Let's play this right here.
A family emergency has caused a last-minute change for golfer Scottie Scheffler, who will be without his usual caddie, Ted Scott, for the final round of the FedEx St. Jude Championship. This unexpected development has sparked curiosity and raised questions among golf enthusiasts. Ted Scott, a trusted companion on Scheffler's journey, had to leave Memphis, Tennessee on Saturday night to address a personal family matter back in Louisiana. In his absence, Brad Payne, the PGA Tour's chaplain, has stepped up to caddy for Scheffler. Payne's previous experience includes caddying for Scheffler during the third round of last year's PGA Championship, when Scott took a pre-planned break to attend his daughter's high school graduation. The story doesn't end there. Payne's dedication is evident as he drove all the way from his home in Dallas, Texas to Memphis to fulfill his role. What's more, multiple caddies, showing respect and support for Scott and Scheffler, reached out to offer their services, but...
So is it, they say this guy is the tour's chaplain. A member of the clergy attached to a private chapel institution ship branch of the armed forces. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. The guy's name who had to step away for the emergency, it is Ted Scott. And you get that connection right there with Scott Alexander Scheffler, right? You get the Scott, but he goes by Scottie. And these two guys are trending. Deion Sanders' sons are making their debuts in the NFL. Two of his sons. Look at this. You have, and I covered both these stories. Look at how everything is with the language, okay? Shador Sanders trending. Shiloh Sanders trending. Now you have Scottie Scheffler. Look at the language. And all S's. Scottie Scheffler. Shador Sanders. Shiloh Sanders. So you get all S's, and Scottie Scheffler kind of sounds like Shador Sanders, or kind of, but you see the similarities. So all of these are trending, and I believe it starts with the language. I mentioned this guy, Maurice Norris, safety for the Detroit Lions. Remember, this is the Damar Hamlin script repeated. Damar Hamlin, Detroit Lion. You see? Safety Maurice Norris was in stable condition after he was attended to for about 20 minutes and taken off the field in an ambulance Friday night against Atlanta, with the preseason game ending early. I pulled this from that breakdown I did. Look at his birthday, September 27. Interesting, because that's 2 days after Scottie Pippen. Okay? And Scottie Pippen, Scottie Scheffler. You see that? Isn't that wild? So look at how this is all by the language here. Isn't that amazing? And Tom Brady, I said, is also trending with his statue, right? Was Todd Brady in that movie with the bear called Ted? Was Tom Brady in the movie Ted? He was. Look, you see that? Ted 2? Look at that right there. And now, and this is kind of on the fly. And now Ted Scott had to step away for a family emergency. Tom Brady trending. Remember, Tom Brady played for the Buccaneers as Shiloh Sanders. And you can watch my Tom Brady statue breakdown. You can watch my Shedeur Sanders breakdown. And you can watch how they're connected and how they're trending at the same time. Even look at these 50s right here. So this goes down at this tournament, right? 50 days after Scottie Scheffler's birthday. And Maurice Norris was injured 50 days after his birthday. Check that out. So 50 days after the Scheffler birthday, 50 days before Maurice Norris' birthday. Okay, I said that right. So look at how those stories connect. And these are both emergency stories, because the head injury with Norris and the family emergency that Ted Scott had, he had to leave as the caddy to Scottie Scheffler, and the chaplain had to step in. Brad Payne, Brad like Brady. Isn't that wild? Scottie Pippen with the birthday 2 days before Maurice Norris. Scottie like Scheffler. Isn't that amazing? Scottie Scheffler, Shedeur Sanders, Shiloh Sanders, the S's, all trending. And yeah, both emergencies. Scheffler began the final round 2 shots out of the lead. Brad Payne steps in. A chaplain to several PGA Tour players as president of the Golf Fellowship. Close friend. And this is the world's number 1 player, I guess, Scottie Scheffler. But they say he's third in this tournament or whatever. Here's Brad Scott. Ted Scott. And there you see that emergency story there with Maurice Norris. Let's look at Brad Payne again. I don't think we get birthdays for these guys. I doubt it, right? No. They're going to pull up actors. And that's another actor right there. And there's Tom Brady in Ted 2, Mark Wahlberg. I watched that movie. So, and I just kind of caught that on the fly too. So Ted Scott, Tom Brady in the movie Ted 2. Pretty interesting with his trending story with his statue. And I put these numbers in here to show you. Look at, this is all stuff I've covered recently. Deion Sanders, right? And that's the middle name to his sons, Deion. Falcons, which were involved in the Lions game that we talked about. Tennessee, who played Tampa Bay with Shiloh Sanders on the Buccaneers. And Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. And now we got Ted Scott stepping away for a family emergency. Look at how all those numbers match. And they're all trending at the same time. You get T's, Ted, Thomas, Tampa, Bay, Tennessee. Look at the language. Look at the language play a part in this breakdown. And I'm going to go over and show you that breakdown from over a year ago and watch how we're seeing a lot of those numbers currently. All right, look, check this out. So this is from May 2024. Okay, so Scheffler arrested outside PGA Championship, returns and climbs the leaderboard. Look at, look at what I connected back then. I connected this because look, Scheffler like Sheffield that was trending at the same time. transfers to Duke. Cameron Sheffield. It's amazing because Cam Ward was one of the quarterbacks who played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Shiloh Sanders the other day. Okay? He was on the Tennessee Titans. He is on the Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward. So that game was trending. I look now, Scottie Scheffler's trending. I pull up this breakdown from 15 months ago, and you had a guy named Cameron Sheffield. Sheffield sounds like Scheffler. So this is just recycled. And look, former Rice guard Cameron Sheffield. Well, Rice is like Maurice Norris, the football player for the Lions who just got injured the other day. So you got former Rice guard Cameron Sheffield. So you get Cameron like Cam Ward currently. Sheffield like Scheffler, who's now trending again. Rice guard. Rice is like Maurice. Maurice is spelled Morice with his head injury with the Lions. So look at how this language just repeats with this pattern. And look at this guy, Scheffel or whoever that is. Look at Schauffele. Is kind of like Scheffler. Look down here now. And then Sheffield. So all of that was trending back then. And these numbers keep popping up currently. So charged with assault after an officer dragged near fatal crash. That's Scottie Scheffler. You see him down on the bottom right. Look at fatal crash as 181 right there. And that just hit in the Shiloh Sanders breakdown. It was 181 days after his birthday. They said he made an impact for the Buccaneers in the victory over the Titans. And again, Cam Ward he's a member of the Titans, and you had Cam in that old story. Look at that right there. 181 days after Shiloh Sanders' birthday, they say he made an impact in his debut against the Titans. And now Scottie Scheffler trending at the same time. And we get 181. That also connected in the Tom Brady story. The 18s or 81s if you reverse. And I'll pull that up real quick. So here's the Brady statue. Remember, Ted Scott steps away as the caddie for a family emergency. Tom Brady was in Ted 2. And look at all the 18s and 81s, at least 18s, but again, 18's the same numbers as 81. Look at that. Tom Brady, Patriots 118, quarterback 180, like 18, 188 days after his retirement anniversary, and the Commanders score 18 points in that game. So that's amazing. Officer dragged 108. That's his son, Bennett Scheffler. Look at the 81. Even Scheffler is coming off 4 victories in his last 5 tournaments. Again, this is from May 2024, including his second Masters title. He was home in Dallas the last 3 weeks, waiting on the birth of his first child, a son that was born May 8th. That's amazing because that's 5'8", and Deion Sanders, he just turned 50. It should be 58. There, they haven't updated it. Look. And Deion Sanders just turned 58. With Scottie Scheffler connected to his sons, Shiloh Sanders, Shador Sanders, Scottie Scheffler, Scottie Scheffler's son, Bennett, born May 8th, which is 5'8". As Dion, now he turns 58. Scottie Scheffler trending again. Isn't that wild? This may sound confusing to somebody just tuning in, but this stuff just repeats by the numbers. Even the upcoming Super Bowl is going to be Super Bowl 60, and Scott Scheffler equals 60. Don't forget, Tom Brady he wore number 12, and so now currently Shedeur Sanders, and PGA 12, Assault 12. So I'm showing you how these numbers from the last, and there's typically 18 holes in a golf game or whatever, right? I think I see the 18 up there. But I'm showing you how these stories are just scripted, man. So yeah, this is from way back then. So that's wild. And they mentioned how a caddy had to step in sometime around this time period as well. I can't remember. I can't remember what it was for, but that's wild. So here, back at our tournament here. Isn't that wild? They say this guy is in the lead, Justin Rose, I guess. And you see Scottie Scheffler tied for third, but that's not why we're here right now. So here's Ted Scott again on the left. He had to step away for some family emergency they're talking about. And they said he had to go back to Louisiana to home for a family emergency. Oh, that was just interesting because like New Orleans, I know, has that 126 right there. And we just saw 126 right here. Look, Scott Alexander Scheffler 126. And his birthday is 216. And Bennett Scheffler, his son, 162. So it's the same three numbers, just reshuffled. So that was interesting also. I don't know if it's exactly New Orleans. But that's pretty wild. So I just wanted to bring you that and show you how all of that. Did we play this?
In a surprising turn at the FedEx St. Jude Championship, world number 1 Scottie Scheffler will compete in the final round without his longtime caddy, Ted Scott. Scott abruptly left Memphis due to a family emergency, flying back to Louisiana to attend to urgent matters. Filling in on the bag is PGA Tour chaplain Brad Payne, who previously caddied for Scheffler in past tournaments. Scheffler currently trails the leader by 2 under par. This could be a pivotal round.
All right, so that's pretty wild, isn't it? Pretty wild. And I don't even know if maybe that's Brad Payne right there. Maybe that's Ted Scott. Kind of looks like Brad Payne. There's Ted Scott right there. Yeah, it kind of looks like this guy who stepped in, the chaplain. But I don't know. We're not really here for those characters. I wanted to show you these connections to these other trending stories. Awesome for sure. And I may go back and take a nap. I'm feeling tired. So Scheffler turns to fill in when caddy Ted Scott leaves for family emergency, and I didn't see any further details. This has been an Associated Press article that I use for my breakdown. Shout out to y'all. Until next time.